everyone, this is BF Warmer, or BW Roses, or BW 1979 as you know me, and I'm here to give my opinions on all the various Sonic cartoons that have aired in the past 15 years. And I want to start off here with Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which premiered in 1993. Now, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was more of a slapstick comedy aimed towards, in my opinion, the age range of preschool to maybe third grade, fourth grade at the latest. And preschool being the earliest, maybe kindergarten to fourth grade. But like I said, that's just my opinion. The reason I say this is because it had more light humor in it, had more comedy, and it always had like a little lesson, lesson. I can't even pronounce it right now, but it had a little bit of a lesson showcase, if you will. It had like a 1 minute, lesson tip, like not like things like, kind of like what you used to see like on G.I. Joe. At the end of G.I. Joe, they would always have those, knowing half the battle segments, something like that. One of those Sonic Says segments. Yeah, that's what it is. Sorry, couldn't think of it right off the bat. But he would have one of those lessons, and that's why I think it was always aimed towards that age range. But that's basically what Sonic X was. I mean, not Sonic X, but Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was. I'm going to get into Sonic X later on. I'm sorry about that. But that's what Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't know about Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, originally, from what I read somewhere, and I could be wrong about this, is that Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was originally pitched to ABC. That's right. ABC was where this series, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, was originally pitched. However, because ABC, just like any other network on Saturday mornings, runs by a quote or runs by a system that you can only have a certain amount of episodes, they couldn't take it. And I guess they also felt it wouldn't fit in. So Adventures ended up on syndication, which I originally think SatAM was going to end up on. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. But to me, that's what Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was. It was a show aimed towards a younger audience, and like preschool being the earliest to fourth grade being the latest. And because of its satire and its situation and its Sonic Says segments, that's why I believe it was aimed towards that. I'm not knocking the series. I'm not trying to knock it down or anything. I think it was a funny series. I enjoyed it a couple of times. In fact, I think I recorded 1 or 2 episodes. When it was on Toon Disney. But I was also going to school at the time, and this was at a time when Toon Disney would have the little previews on the Disney Channel. But to me, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was a good show, but more of a good show for the younger audience than anything else. And I'll be back with my opinions on SatAM. Hey everyone, this is BF Warmer, BW79, BW Roses, back with my opinions on the various Sonic animated series that have come in the past 15 years. And here I want to talk about one of the most popular Sonic series of all time. In fact, it still has a cult following even today, and that is Sonic the Hedgehog, the Sonic the Hedgehog series, which aired on ABC from 1993 to 1995, dubbed by Sonic fans like myself SatAM or SatAM. The reason this series is probably one of the most popular, if not the most popular series of them all, is because it had everything you can ask for. It had various characters, it had tremendous storylines, it drew you in, it made you keep guessing to the end of what's going to happen. I mean, overall, it was just a tremendous series. I mean, the animation was almost feature-length-like. I mean, the stories, like I said, were well written, and the characters, they just had their own uniqueness in there, and that's what made the series so better than I think the other series that came before it or around the same time and came after it. Now, the reason I say that is because you have characters in there, like say a Princess Sally, and usually when you watch an animated series that features a princess that's based on a video game, usually that princess at times, if not most times, is in need of being rescued, right? Well, not in this case. I mean, there were a few cases, yes, but not in this case. Not in this case. For most of the series, Princess Sally was on the field, basically helping out with the mission. Like I said, there were a few cases, but that was it. And the stories, like I said, the writing in that series was just unbelievable. I mean, I mentioned this one time on my Sonic SatAM Memories video, and in my written version of it, that when I first saw the first episode, because to me the first episode I saw was Supersonic, I thought that Bunny, Rabbit, and Princess Sally were going to remain evil thanks to Robotnik controlling their minds through Lazarus Crystal. I mean, just watching that and thinking that just told me right off the bat how well the series was going to be, how good the series was going to be. And it turned out to be a tremendous series, right off the bat. Unfortunately, Sally and Bunny did not remain evil. Sonic was able to get the crystal and reverse the effects. Like I said, just well written. It was a well written scenario. And as the series progressed, we started to learn more about the characters. I think the first season the first season we met Uncle Chuck. Where he temporarily got his free will, and I'll get back and get into that in a little bit. And as well as we found out the first clues and hints to Sally's father, King Acorn. And all this from the first season was followed up into the second season. Now, there was a difference between the first season and the second season. The first season was a little bit darker, a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more action-packed. I mean, yeah, you had your comedic moments here and there, your little humorous moments, but you saw more of that in the second season, especially with characters like Robotnik and all. And basically you just saw it mostly in the second season, but also in the second season it got a little bit more darker. It also got a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more action-packed. A lot of revelations were revealed. A lot of secrets and revelations were revealed, like the origin of how Robotnik took over. We saw for the first time the King and found out where he ended up at. Uncle Chuck finally got back his free will. We met all new characters. We had a new Freedom Fighter and Dulcie the Dragon. You name it. You name it, and that's exactly, what the second season did. I mean, just totally became something completely different from the first season, even though it still had some continuations from the first season that a lot of people enjoyed. And overall, it was a good series. I mean, unfortunately, it didn't go into a third season, which was originally planned, because from what we understand, the people at ABC that ran the people at ABC were bought out or taken over by a new group of people, and this group of people, which I think were heading into more of the Disney direction and more of the educational direction, felt as though shows like, Sonic SatAM and maybe Reboot and a few others did not fit into the formula, and they tossed them away. And we're not just talking about Saturday Morning Sonic and the other anime series. We're talking like live-action prime times and shows as well. But because of that, unfortunately, a third season did not happen. However, about 12 years later, from the first time, 12 years later, a goal was reached. I mean, a goal was reached because there was various sites that were based around the series. A goal was reached when a lot of fans from a site called SatAM Sonic, or FSU, Fans United for SatAM Sonic, came together and finally petitioned enough for Shout Factory Entertainment, along with to talk to Dick Entertainment and say, hey, look, we have this the series, that Sonic series you did back in '95 and from '93 and '95 on ABC. It's very popular. Fans still want to see it again. And eventually, on March 27th, 2007, Sonic SatAM came on to DVD for the first time in a 2-set box set, the complete series, which everybody bought, which I personally bought at midnight as well, at my Walmart store. But that was overall that's how popular the series was and still is. The fact that 12 years later fans still wanted to see it and eventually got a box set brought out. But that's all I could say about SatAM right now, and I'll be back with my talk on Sonic Underground and Sonic X.